For 12 whole seasons, we watched the brilliant and, let's be honest, brilliantly awkward physicists of the Big Bang Theory try to figure out life, love, and the entire universe. But have you ever wondered how real all that science scribbled on those famous whiteboards actually was? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the surprisingly authentic scientific backbone of one of TV's biggest hits ever. We all remember those whiteboards in their apartment, right? They were constantly filled with these crazy-looking equations that would actually change from episode to episode. So was that all just clever set dressing, or was there something more going on? Well, the answer involves a real-life physicist whose work was, believe it or not, just as crucial to the show as any of the actors. It turns out the show's scientific street cred didn't come from Sheldon Cooper. It came from a real-life professor and particle physicist, a guy who basically became Hollywood's go-to expert for getting the science right. So on one side, you have Sheldon Cooper, the fictional wonderkin from Caltech. But on the other, you've got the very real David Saltzberg, a professor of physics and astronomy right at UCLA. So while Sheldon was wrestling with string theory on our screens, David Saltzberg was behind the scenes, making absolutely sure all that science was legit. So who exactly is David Saltzberg? Long before he was looking at TV scripts, he was building this incredible career in experimental physics. Let's take a quick look at his path, from the top tiers of academia all the way to the primetime lights of Hollywood. His resume is, well, absolutely top tier. A bachelor's from Princeton, a PhD from the University of Chicago, and he even did a stint at CERN in Switzerland, only the world's largest particle physics lab. This isn't just someone with a casual interest in science. This is a physicist working at the absolute highest level of the field. And the awards totally back it up. He's a fellow of the American Physical Society and has won a ton of prestigious awards. In fact, he's so respected that there's an asteroid named after him. Yeah, you heard that right. Asteroid 8628, David Saltzberg, is just floating out there in space. A little nod to his contributions to science. How cool is that? Okay, so here's the crucial part. How did this super accomplished scientist end up shaping a sitcom? Well, his role went way beyond just checking for mistakes. He was actually deeply integrated into the creative process, making sure that the world of Sheldon, Leonard, Howard, and Rauch felt completely real. So here's how he did it. First, he'd go through the scripts to catch any scientific slip-ups. Then, he actually wrote scientifically accurate dialogue for the characters to say. He was the whiteboard wizard, personally drawing all those equations, making sure they reflected real, up-to-date scientific conversations. So if the guys were debating dark matter, the formulas on the board actually tracked their arguments from scene to scene. He even supplied props like real diagrams from actual experiments. And this really gets to the heart of how important he was. The show's co-creator, Bill Prady, said that Saltzberg didn't just correct errors. He actively added the scientific texture that made the whole world believable. He was basically a collaborator in the writer's room. And get this, he went even further than the scripts. Saltzberg started a program he called Geek of the Week, where he'd bring actual scientists to the set. This let the cast and crew just soak up the culture they were trying to portray. It was all about creating an authentic vibe from the inside out. And, that commitment to getting things right didn't stop with Saltzberg. The show became this magnet for some of the biggest names in science, who are all excited to be a part of it and lend their own credibility to the series. Just look at this list of guest stars. It's like a scientific hall of fame. You've got the legendary Stephen Hawking, Nobel Prize winner George Smoot, modern icons like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, even astronaut Buzz Aldrin stopped by. These weren't just celebrity walk-ons. This was a huge stamp of approval from the scientific community, proving that the show really respected the world it was depicting. But the show's scientific universe took this massive leap forward in season 3. By bringing in 2 brilliant female scientists, the series didn't just shake up the group's dynamic, it also seriously broadened its representation of who gets to be a scientist. First, we met Bernadette Rostenkovsky, a super sharp microbiologist who brought the whole world of pharmaceuticals into the story. And then came Amy Farrah Fowler, a genius neurobiologist who was Sheldon's true intellectual equal. They weren't just there as love interests, they were powerhouse scientists in their own right, who made the show's world so much bigger and more interesting. And this slide right here shows just how much the show and the cast valued these scientific characters. Back in 2017, the 5 original stars each took a $100,000 pay cut per episode just to help get raises for Mayim Bialik and Melissa Rauch. That was such a powerful statement, saying that Amy and Bernadette were absolutely essential to the show's universe. So when you put it all together, you've got a dedicated consultant, a commitment from the creators, a cast that truly valued its scientific characters. What's the lasting impact? What is this Saltzberg effect? Well, for 279 episodes, The Big Bang Theory did something pretty remarkable. It made really complex science a normal part of mainstream pop culture. It showed millions and millions of people that physics and biology and engineering could be funny and fascinating and deeply human. It really helped make being smart cool. And Saltzberg's influence didn't stop there. Not at all. He went on to consult for the drama series Manhattan and the massive blockbuster film Oppenheimer. He even made a guest appearance as a professor in the prequel series Young Sheldon. His work helped set a whole new standard for getting the science right in entertainment. And that kind of leaves us with a bigger question to chew on. When a show with a massive audience like this one really commits to getting the details right, it does more than just entertain us. It can inspire curiosity, break down stereotypes, and maybe even influence what someone chooses to do with their life. So, how does this kind of authentic storytelling shape how we all think about science and the world around us? It's definitely something worth thinking about.